Thank you all for coming. We are going to go through this presentation. I'm going to try to be kind of quick, but I wanted to.
On 5 because on 12 it's still bubbling.
Can everybody check? Can everyone check your audio setting and just mute yourself? When I'm sharing the presentation, I can't see everybody's square and mute for you. Thank you. So as I was putting this together, I was feeling really disappointed that I wasn't able to show you guys all in person our school. One of my the favorite things about my job is being able to show you around and take you through all the classrooms and show you what classrooms look like with the kids in them, because it's definitely a different feel than just seeing it on a screen. But anyway, this is going to be our general overview. I'm going to go through, I'm going to try to give you guys a good sense for the program. I have a lot of pictures in here because I want you all to get a feel for some of the things that happen in class. And then we'll talk about the COVID stuff at the end. I know those are burning questions for everybody. And you'll get a sense as we go through there are some pictures that are from last year. It will be easy to tell because the kids won't be wearing masks. And some pictures from this year, kids are all wearing masks as well as teachers. So let's get moving. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry. Uh-oh. So Covenant is a, why is that happening? Okay, sorry, I'm having some technical problems. All right, so we are a play-based program. We believe that children learn through exploring and experimenting in their environment. Teachers really do a great job in their classrooms of kind of setting out activities and creating environments that are engaging and captivating for the children. We really view play as children's work. So we really try to encourage parents not to say that they're just playing at school. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. So we have 4 classrooms in 4 classes in our program, 3 classrooms. So we have a Turtle Twos class for children who are 2 by September 1st. And that meets on Wednesday and Friday. Then we have our Honeybee Threes that meets on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So they share the classroom, but they're there on different days. And they are for children who are 3 by December 31st. Sometimes this can be a good class for young 3-year-olds. So 3-year-olds who may turn 3 over the summer. Both of these classes have a maximum of 12 children and 3 teachers. So the low teacher-child ratio is great for children who are new, who this is their first school experience. These are our 3 teachers. Isn't that such a glamour shot? Love it. Potty training is not necessary, and both of these classes are very social, emotionally focused. So we really want children to develop a healthy self-esteem, self-confidence in their abilities, as well as starting to learn some appropriate ways of interacting with their peers. This is definitely the age where they're all interested in each other, but they tend to not know how to navigate that. So teachers, do a great job of modeling for children, of giving them words to use with each other, to help them both to get into social situations, but also to advocate for themselves. So to, say walk away, or that's mine, or something like that. So that's what these 2 classes are definitely about. So your child does not have to be good at any of that to come in. That's why they're there. All right, this is just a peek at what the classroom looks like. Hopefully you've all watched the tour. We have a virtual tour that is available on our website. I think I emailed it to all of you as well. But that one probably gives you a better feel for the space. But in the 2s and the 3s classroom, you can see different activity areas. There's a dramatic play area back here, a sensory table, a quiet book and reading corner. And then these tables will have different activities on them. Typically there's an art project, and then Play-Doh at one of them as well. This easel is a very popular place for kids to play. To do art. So the room gets a lot of use. This class, there's a heavy focus on kind of building those interaction skills. And it's really great. Typically at the beginning of the year, you'll see a lot of kind of parallel play where kids are playing next to each other. As they get into more interactive play, it's really kind of cool to see how these relationships form. There's a lot of negotiation and interaction that happens when kids are at the block corner. Also with their dolls, you can tell she's got something very important to say. So lots of good stuff happening in that classroom. This classroom also focuses quite a great deal on separation. So we talk a lot about parents and caregivers leaving and coming back. At the beginning of the school year, teachers are really working to kind of form strong attachments with the kids and to help the kids feel comfortable at school. There's a lot of kind of individualized interactions, reading stories. You can tell this little girl was a little sad. This was at the very beginning of the year, was very sad when mom left, but she kind of came through it really quickly. These girls are looking at a family photo book. In all of the classrooms, they have families bring in or send them family pictures, which will either be posted on up on a wall, or this year, because we spent so much time outside, typically teachers made something that was mobile so that it could go outside and inside with them. And so those are always accessible. It's always nice to come back and remind yourself that your parents are coming back, and to be able to share that with each other as well. These classes, there's a lot of sensory play and art, and we like to focus a lot on process-oriented art as opposed to product-oriented. So rather than trying to make something that looks like a finished product, really kind of letting the kids experience what it's like to paint with different kinds of objects or to use different colors and see how they mix together. This year, a lot of our sensory play has moved to be very individualized. So the kids are not sharing items. They're not all using the sensory table together. So instead we've moved to these bins where everyone kind of does it individually, and everyone has a separate bin. Same with Play-Doh. Everyone has their own Play-Doh. It gets put back in a bag when they're done. And so they're not shared at all. The teachers do a great job of bringing nature into the classroom. We try and spend as much time outside as possible, but you all are familiar with these Chicago winters. So when we're not able to be outside as much, there's a lot of natural stuff that's happening in the classroom at the nature and science table, a lot of different objects. These things get changed out a lot. Children do a lot of kind of exploring and experimenting with them. There's a lot of rock sorting, and these guys are taking care of some flowers that one of the teachers brought in. This classroom also does a group time, and in the 2s and the 3s class, it tends to be a little bit shorter at the beginning of the year than it is at the end of the year. And they really focus a lot on active movement and music activities to try to get the kids kind of engaged in coming to the group. Let me see if I can play this for you.
All right, are you ready for this one? 5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, "It's getting late." The second one said, "There's witches in the air." The third one said, "We don't care." Good job. The fourth one said, "I'm ready for some fun." The fifth one said, "Let's run and run." "Ooh," said the wind, and out went the lights. And 5 little pumpkins rolled out of sight. Roll those pumpkins. Roll them, roll them. Roll your pumpkins with your hands. Push them.
Uh-oh. Darn, sorry, I just did that, didn't All right, so that was a cute little twos group time. Now we are going to go to the multi-age classrooms. So we have two different multi-age classrooms. One is our wildflower classroom where Miss Kim and Miss Mora are the teachers. And then our other multi-age classroom is our birch classroom. Both of these classrooms have a maximum of 18 children per day. They have two lead teachers, and then we have a couple of floating rover assistants that float between the classrooms. We do offer flexible scheduling, so children can choose 3, 4, or 5 days a week. And typically you can pick the days that fit best in your schedule. These are our teacher assistants this year, Miss Renata right here, Miss Erica. Well, Miss Erica's sitting out the year, but she will be back next year, hopefully. And this is Miss Britta. And so you'll see them in all the different classrooms. So our first multi-age classroom, our wildflower classroom, is this one. I tried to give you a couple of different angles of it, but you can tell similar to the twos and the threes classroom, there are different interest areas. The block corner gets a lot of use. This week that I took these photos, they were doing a study on light and shadows. And so they're using this awesome, cool, old school overhead projector. They also have sensory table and block area, or I guess this is for more rug play. And then they also have a book area as well. Our second multi-age classroom is our birch classroom. Some slightly different layout, but they have all the same same interest areas. I do try and with these multi-age classrooms balance them out to have even numbers of boys and girls as well as even numbers of older and younger children. So both of the classrooms have 3 to 5 year olds. It's basically two grade levels of children. And I try and balance them out. One classroom, the birch classroom, is offered Monday through Friday, and the wildflower we think is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. In the multi-age classrooms, there's still a very heavy focus on the social emotional piece of development. We really want children to be real comfortable with interaction skills, solving problems. But there's definitely more literacy and more math that gets woven into the curriculum. So we try and do it in very authentic ways rather than children sitting down and doing worksheets or flashcards or things like that. Kind of weave it into our curriculum a little bit. We will talk more about that later on in the presentation when I'll talk about pre-K stuff. So our curriculum, we use the creative curriculum to kind of guide our lesson planning. Teachers put together lesson plans on a bi-weekly basis. Our goals for the children revolve around these 4 things: social, emotional, cognitive, language, and physical. When the teachers are putting together their lesson plans, we really try and use the interest of the children to kind of guide what our planning is around. And teachers are great about being flexible with where lessons go and really kind of using the interests of the children. Okay, so in the creative curriculum, they have an individual child profile that we use to twice a year kind of mark children's development in all those 4 different areas and track developmental milestones. These serve as a basis when we are doing our parent conferences twice a year. We do that in the fall and then also in the spring. Generally, all of the classrooms have a daily schedule that they follow. Each classroom may be slightly different, but they do try and keep a predictable and consistent routine that really helps to provide comfort and a sense of time for young children. So here now that it's cold and we have been both inside and outside, the schedule is a little bit different. There's a little more time in the classroom. When we were all outside, teachers used a portable schedule and kind of showed the different areas that that the class would be in. So once the kids got to school, they could kind of predict what the day was going to be like. Whoops, wrong way. The beginning of the day in all of the classrooms starts with some version of a check-in. So in one of the classrooms, they use rocks with the children's name. The children find their rock and put it in the basket, saying that they're here. In one of the classrooms, they use these little tree cookies. And then in the 2s and the 3s class, they use these name and photo placards and find their names. So this is a part of, there's a big component of literacy in this, of the children are recognizing their names. Oftentimes they're recognizing names of their friends. Children, even in the 2s and the 3s class, will find somebody's name that is still laying out even though they're here and say, oh, Johnny, you didn't put your tree cookie in the right spot. So it also promotes a sense of self for the kids and a group identity. In all of the classrooms, the kids have daily jobs. Some of the classrooms the older classrooms start this at the beginning of the year. Some of them start them as the year has gone along. And these jobs tend to be very coveted positions. I hear that one of the classrooms just added a new job, which was very exciting. Is somebody feeding a fish now or something like that in one of the classrooms? And this, kids take a lot of pride out of being able to do their job. Some of the different jobs are the line leader, the line anchor is the one who pulls up the rear and kind of makes sure that the line is nice and tight. There's a door holder, a room inspector, a line counter. This is in our 3s class. They have a morning greeter. And so when the kids come in, they get to pick one of these ways to say hi. And they all say good morning to each other. So it's super cute. I should have put in a video of that. All right, then we have my little arrows are not working for some reason. So I apologize. My scrolling is not very smooth. We have 2 indoor playrooms. Our large playroom has movable equipment that we store in the storage room back here. So we have a lot of bikes and grocery carts and cars and stuff back there, as well as beanbag games and hoops and things like that. So this area we're able to set up on a weekly basis, and then we clear the stuff away on the weekends once the church is back. The church is not meeting at the facility currently. And then we also have a small playroom that has equipment that is permanently set up. So we've got this nice climber in there. This jumperoo is super popular. So it's been really great having so much indoor space. And with this COVID situation going on, it's been nice having 2 separate spaces. It's made it easy for classrooms to have their own individualized space. So outdoors, I apologize for this schematic, but I wanted to give you all a sense of where the play spaces were. I know a lot of you have not been to our facility at all. So back in here is where the school building is, or where the church is. We're on the lower level of the church. So the kids are able to walk out this back door or also around the front door, and there's a sidewalk. And this is just across a small parking area. And then this is our turtle playscape, is one of our outdoor spaces. And then this year we have been using this space quite a bit just because of the COVID situation. We are keeping all of our groups self-contained. So they're kind of their own pod and have not been intermixing kids. In previous years, multiple groups could be out on our playscape. It's large enough that actually all 3 classrooms could be out there, but typically we only have 2 out there at a time. But because of everything going on, we're not intermixing the kids at all. So we have these 2 different spaces. I'll show you more visuals so you can get a better feel for them. But our goal really with the Turtle Playscape was to keep it very natural and to have a lot of movable pieces. And we feel that it really lends itself to a lot of creative play with the kids. And they are just super engaged with it. It's really fascinating, I think from a teacher's perspective, to see how their play changes. I think this year, I think for the first time, there was a group that started, Kim, maybe you can tell it better. Didn't your group start using the wheelbarrows and making it like a drive through or like a grocery area or something like that? Anyways, their play is very creative when they're out in these spaces. And they change often. Teachers bring in movable things for them. We brought pumpkins out in the fall. We've had pine trees and branches that they could cut branches off and twigs off of. They'll bring in loose flowers and different things like that for their play. So in the playscape, we've got a lot of different components. I found this picture of the mud kitchen. You guys, the teachers probably don't recognize it because it's never looked this nice except for the day that I moved it in. So they've got a mud kitchen. The kids love mixing up dirt and water and sand and flower petals and making lots of different stuff. The sand pit is a popular area for looking for buried treasure. This chalkboard gets used quite a bit. It's a great literacy component. They love using the squirt bottle to erase things as they write. There's also a tree for climbing, and this is the rain barrel that the kids are able to operate. And you can see that there's a lot of teamwork. There's a lot of planning goes on in their play. So they're talking with each other a lot, and they can be really determined when they're out there. You can imagine how heavy this bucket is just by seeing these boys carry it. So we love that from day to day, the play is always different out there. It's very interesting to see. We have a water wall that gets changed out periodically with different tubing, and kids get to investigate and move the tubes around to see how they can make the water go the fastest. This year with COVID, we have been outside as much as possible, which meant when the weather was nicer, the classes were outside almost the entire day, going inside to use the bathroom. And then we had snack outside. And so we brought a bunch of things that we would typically do inside out. So they did some beading. Here you can see all the individual bags of Play-Doh. So kids knew to look for their bag of Play-Doh. And they played on a tray. These trays got sanitized in between kids playing on them, as did all the cookie cutters and other implements. Every child in the school has their own art writing kit. So with their own pair of scissors, crayons, markers, that kind of stuff. So the teachers were very creative, and I think built some good muscles lugging all this stuff around. Everybody had a wagon that got piled full with their things while they carted around outside. I did a lot of science explorations outside as well. This class talked about sinking and floating. Kids got to make a prediction and then test it. It was fun. Oh, sorry. Oh God, it doesn't want to land on that one. Okay, so there's a sunflower slide that it's not letting me show you. Teachers brought in sunflowers, and they got to use tweezers and magnifying glasses and make some observations and pull the seeds out and the flower petals. And so the teachers have been very creative about using the outdoor space well. Then on the blacktop area, we have always had bikes out there. And this year we kind of added a couple of new things. We added in some additional water play. as well as a new little mud kitchen and where the kids could cook up some different stuff. All of the classrooms have their own set of kitchen toys and sand pit toys. And so those get cleaned by each group after they have been in the area and then get stored. So none of that equipment gets shared either. Let's see.
Oh, Tina,
Yeah, go ahead.
are we, I do have a few questions that have come in. And so if you'd like to finish with maybe the physical space, then we can stop and answer some questions.
Sure. I think I'm about at the end of the outdoor space.
Okay.
So they've also brought art, lots of different art projects out. The easel has been a popular area, lots of science stuff. Oops. And then we also have added blocks outside, which has been super fun for the kids. The teachers know and probably get sick of me talking about how awesome I think blocks are. I mean, just look at this structure right here. Like, look at that balancing that had to happen in order to get that all to stand up. Amazing. So the kids are experimenting with balance and gravity, cause and effect, and they are just talking so much when they're figuring all of this stuff out, like where they're going to put the dinosaurs and all of that kind of stuff. Teachers have brought group time outside as well when the weather has been nice, and group time in all of the classrooms has been a great way to or it has been an important part of the day. It's a great opportunity for having discussions about different things that are happening in the classroom. Oftentimes at this age, we end up talking a lot about friendships and what it means to be a friend, and you know, exclusion tends to be a popular, you know, something that happens at during this age as well. So, and they read books, sing songs, have a lot of musical activities as well. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry that this is happening. I don't know why my arrows are not working. So the Birch classroom had an issue at the beginning where they did not have enough bikes for every single kid to ride one at the same time. So Miss Rebecca led a discussion about what they could do. Kids brainstormed some different ideas, and then as a group, they came up with the idea of voting to make a sign-up list. And so then the kids came and signed up, those kids who were not writing their name yet, and got a little assistance from the teachers. Some kids would write a first letter and then the teacher would write the rest of it. So they definitely scaffold where they are on that developmentally on that curve. Okay, I think my next thing is pre-K. Do you want to, or kindergarten readiness? You want to throw the questions?
Yeah, sure. Why don't we stop? I have a couple questions. And then we can, if there's others as we go, we can keep talking. But the first one is our parent teacher conferences and child progress reports only for 3 to 5 classrooms, or also for the 2s. What sorts of information do parents get about child's development in the 2s? And my response was that maybe the 2s can give a little bit on that, the teachers, or Tina, you can elaborate if you'd like.
Sure, I will start, and then
I thought I saw Gina and Jack.
Gina is on, right? Gina, if you feel like unmuting and chiming in, you may unmute and chime in. We do have another different child profile, that the individual child profile that I showed the slide of. There is one for the 2s class as well. So it's all the same developmental areas. The goals are just, you know, developmentally appropriate for 2-year-olds and not 3 to 5-year-olds. So yes, that happens also in the 2s class. You get feedback on a regular basis, both, you know, a drop off and pick up, but then during conferences as well. Teachers do a write-up at both of those conferences about development and things that are going on in the classroom. In the twos class in the fall, there tends to be a lot of communication just about how they've gotten into the routine, how separation has been going, as well as like if there are kids that they are connecting with. So you will definitely get information like that as well. So teacher conferences are for all classes.
I can add as the twos teacher that they one of the twos teachers that we have intake conferences at the very beginning of the school. So we meet you, we talk about what should we know, what should we look out for. Then we have the fall conferences by phone, and then we have spring conferences in person. But in between then, we also use the app Seesaw, where we take a bunch of pictures, especially with the twos and the threes, because we know you're hungry for the information on how they're doing and every little detail of their day, and the pictures say 1,000 words. So it's really nice to be able to watch your child, who they might be playing with, and you really get daily feedback. And usually it's person-to-person feedback, but in this year of COVID, you know, there's no coming inside the building, and there's not a lot of time for chat, but the pictures have really helped everybody I know. And then anytime you want, you know, aside from that, you can email us, we email back, you know, any day, anytime. And if you have concerns, we can always talk.
Yeah, I do talk a little bit more about Seesaw later on, and I can give you guys a sample of, I mean, I show a couple samples of what the teachers post. All right, you want me to keep going, or you have another?
I have a couple more questions, so I thought maybe we could do those now and then we can keep going. What's your approach? Because it kind of goes with the younger class, well, anyone entering our school. What's your approach to separation? Quick, confident goodbye from day one, or a more gradual separation from parents, caregivers for younger kids?
So we welcome families, particularly in the twos and the threes class to, well, this, I guess in a normal year, we would welcome families to stay and be a part of the classroom. And in fact, we generally ask them to plan to be in the building for the first week at least, sometimes for the first 2 weeks. Usually we would have coffee available in our large playroom so that you could spend a little time in the classroom and then also leave for a little bit to see how your child does. This year, because of all of the COVID precautions, we had a couple of parents who were new to the program and new to the school who stayed. We specifically started the twos class outside in the playscape, actually the twos and the threes, so that parents could stay and linger a little bit. I don't necessarily promote ripping the Band-Aid off from day one, unless parents, I feel like, know your child the best. If you know that regardless of how long you're going to stay, your child is still going to scream bloody murder, and you are okay with that, then we are happy to. I don't necessarily promote the fact that parents have to stay until your child is ready to happily say goodbye to you. My own 2-year-old, when I was still working at Covenant, would cry every morning that I dropped her off in Miss Jackie's lap. So their children just have different ways of separating. But we definitely want to kind of take the lead from parents. So that will be a big conversation piece during that initial intake conference. Just to see how you feel like the separation is going to go, and that kind of stuff. So
I can add, we also have lots of hands-on that first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to hug the criers, or, you know, console or do whatever. We can handle it all at the same time. So we're used to it and we're happy to do it.
And we typically have more individuals available. You know, most years Kim is not in a classroom, and so she would be an extra around. I will be an extra around. So there are a lot of extra adults to help out with that separation process. However, I do believe really strongly that children do the best at Covenant when their parent feels really good about it. I think one of the things that is nice for, if you are nervous about your child, about leaving your child is going to see that and they pick up on that a lot, and it will help them have a harder time to get settled. So one of the nice things about having parents stay for that first week is that you're able to get to know the routine a little bit. You're able to get to know the teachers a little bit. So, you know, we do welcome families to be around.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so a couple more and keep them coming. Well, I'm here. I'm here
Well,
all
I
night.
still got to get through the rest of the presentation. So,
Oh, oh yeah, I forgot about you. Okay, so just a couple more. I know kids at this age are always testing boundaries. How do we handle disruptive behavior? Like for instance, a child who struggles playing well with others. You know, I'm just gonna say that, you know, every situation I feel is very unique. There are days that I don't want to play well with others. So we really do a lot of redirection and positive, you know, reinforcement. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt with my, and really helping them work through what, you know, what the conflict may be in that moment that's happening. So we really do try to redirect or find out what's going on that is causing that strife for the day or the morning.
I think a lot of times setting up expectations at the beginning of the school year, and then teachers do a lot of kind of reinforcing that stuff during their circle times of, you know, a lot of times some challenging behaviors like hitting or pushing and that kind of stuff stems from children not being able to verbalize how they're feeling or what they want to get across. So, you know, I think teachers work really hard to try to see patterns of when something like that is about to happen, and to kind of preemptively step in, helping to give children tools to use with each other. Like being able to say to somebody, walk away, is a really helpful skill, right? If somebody's in your face, you don't have to like that all the time, right? You don't have to want to play with somebody all the time. Sometimes you want to play by yourself. So we don't I've had this question before, but we don't use timeouts at all, but we will occasionally like have a child come and calm down somewhere. So maybe a teacher takes them out of the hallway or out into the hallway and like takes a walk with them and then talks about you know, what happened, and you know, at a later point try to brainstorm different ways that things could be handled. A lot of communication and conversation happens with parents during you know, around issues like that, if that is something that we're seeing come up more than just once.
And I can also add that with the tinies, the 2s and the 3s, I mean, they're not expected to share. It's not developmentally necessarily appropriate. You know, they want to play with the one toy they found and they don't want anybody to bother them, and that's okay. And we talk about that. Like, after you're done, can somebody play? You know, and they'll say yes. And that's kind of our goal. Could you give it to so and so after you're finished? And so it's we don't push a lot of you know, interaction or forced play. If they don't want to, they don't have to.
Great. Okay, one more, and then Tina, I will let you continue.
Yeah.
During COVID, do kids from Monday, Wednesday, Friday cohort mix with kids that attend other days? For example, Monday through Friday, or are the cohorts totally self-contained?
Oh, I know what they're talking about. So I think this is specific to the multi-age classroom. So the way that the multi-age classrooms work, so obviously the 2s class is separate from the 3s class. They don't intermix at all, and the classrooms get cleaned in between those days. In the multi-age classrooms, there may be children in each of the classrooms that do not attend all the days. So say in the Birch class that meets Monday through Friday, there may be some kids that are there every day, Monday through Friday. There may be some kids that are only there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they would all be together. So the larger cohort would be 18 kids, but then per day there may be more like 15 kids or 14 kids in the group. I think that's the question. Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Okay, great. Keep going. We're good.
Okay, and then maybe
Thank you.
some other.
Let me know if there's any other questions. I'm here.
All right, so I had some people email me with questions about kindergarten readiness, which is definitely, it's always good to look at the end place that we're all getting these kids to. So in all of our conversations with kindergarten teachers, teachers have said that above and beyond anything else, children having strong self-help skills is really, really important. So being able to care for your own needs, being able to put your jacket on, getting your boots, being able to follow multi-step directions is great. And then after that, self-regulation. So being able to, and this is something that really being in a group is how you become skilled with this, being able to control your emotions, being able to put stuff away even though you still want to be playing with it, resisting impulses, listening to others when you're at circle time, self-control, all of that stuff. And then there's definitely the pre-literacy is important, and that gets worked on a daily basis. We really kind of, as a basis for all of this, even in the twos class, start working a lot on them strengthening the muscles in their hands, which will help them to be able to hold a pencil later on. And then there's a lot of pre-math stuff that happens in all the classrooms as well. So in every day, kids are doing stuff at school. They have writing centers in all of the classrooms. They have a portable writing kit that goes outside. Kids are using spray bottles a lot. Scissors, Legos are great. Staplers are great. A lot of times it's hard to get boys to sit down, particularly and do art projects or write with pencils or markers, but they really love a lot of the like staplers and scissors and hole punches and things like that. We also focus on impulse control and regulation, do some mindfulness stuff during circle times, some yoga, and then we work quite a great deal on self-help skills. And I would advise parents to, anything you can do to help give your child a head start in this by giving them shoes that they can put on themselves, giving them clothes that they don't have to snap or zip or things like that, particularly when they're coming to school, is helpful. And then just giving your child extra time to get out of the house so that they start having time to practice that. Oh God. So we do a lot of just on a daily basis, practicing and experimenting with numbers and letters. Clipboards tend to make children feel really important, and they like to kind of do different activities with them. So in one of the classrooms, they have been doing this counting game, and this is a letter identification where there's a letter written on these gems and they match it up, and I think one's a lowercase and one's an uppercase. They can match it up. And on this one, it's a number game where the kids roll a die and then they put that number of gems down. So there are a lot of different opportunities for kids to kind of experience this. We don't ever force kids to do things that they don't want to do, but there are a lot of different opportunities for it. Oh my God. And then kids get a lot of practice and experimentation with letters and numbers. This boy's name is Dennis, and look, he made a D out of the blocks. I don't think I'd be able to do that. Okay, so we do also have a pre-K enrichment for those people who are interested. If your child is going to kindergarten the following year, they have to be turning 5 by September 1st. Sorry. Yes, they would be turning 4 before September 1st. Then they would be eligible to do the pre-K class. And the enrollment for that is for the whole school year. Children can bring a lunch from home and have the experience of a longer day. It meets Tuesdays and Thursdays until 1:30, and this one will be meeting for sure for the 21-22 school year. For those of you with younger kids or for kids that if you don't want to do both of those days, we do have some lunchtime enrichments that meet. This year they have not been meeting, but typically we have something offered every day. At this point, we are not quite sure how that is going to look for next year. So because of this need to keep these self-contained cohorts, it makes it difficult. Typically, we would have enrichments that are maybe 10 to 12 kids, and they would be from each of the different classrooms kind of contained in one. So we're not exactly sure how that is going to work for the fall, but that is typically an option. So I think I mentioned part of this before. We do really invite parents to be as involved in the program as they're able to be. We have a parent volunteer run board of directors. Parents are also welcome typically to come into the classroom. This year, because of COVID, and we're really trying to keep our kids their groups isolated, we have not been having parents in the building, but in years past, like even somebody's grandparent from out of town came and visited, and so she came in and read a story. So there's lots of different opportunities to be involved. And then teachers, Gina started talking about it a little bit, but we do have, we use Seesaw, which is an app that is easily accessible and very easy to use on your phone. And the teachers post to it almost every day that your child is there. So I give you a couple of samples. Some of you may be familiar with it if you have older children. But teachers are able to post a lot of photos. So they'll post a couple photos, and then they can put a caption underneath. And a lot of time you're getting, you know, how different activities they're doing, how it promotes different skill building and development. And this happens in all of the classrooms. Teachers can post individually to children as well as to the whole group. And so, you know, as Gina was saying, I think a picture speaks 1,000 words, without the phrase. So being able to be a fly on the wall, I think, is really important for families. And then we definitely try and work on building community. You know, it's hard raising very young children, so being able to share ideas and gain support from others who are going through the same thing is important. We have a number of different activities for families. Fall Fest did not happen this year, but in most years we have a Fall Fest where we have different activities for the kids. We'll have pizza and other things. We do have a family nature outing that is coming up in a couple of weeks at Emily Oaks that Miss Allison is going, or Mrs. Ashley is going to lead. This was a photo from one that we did at Lighthouse Beach. And we also do like parents' nights out. We have our turtle shell raiser, which is our silent auction annually. We have some family craftivities that we do as well, where we will rent out like the Exploratorium or one of the gyms at the community centers and get pizza for the kids. And then those who want to participate can do that. Okay, so when it comes to COVID, we have kids and adults have been wearing masks at all times. I did get somebody ask me the question about vaccinations. Our teachers, I think by the end of next week, 100% of us will have had the first dose of the vaccine. So we are well on our way to being there. So, however, that does not really change anything for our purposes out in public or anything. So because they're not sure really how the vaccine works exactly, and they don't know if you can carry it and transmit it, all of our same precautions will still be standard. We are operating as if things are going to be the same in the fall as they are currently. So we're anticipating that kids and adults will be wearing masks. Now, of course, if the CDC and if DCFS changes that guidance before then we would follow that. But at this point, we are planning to have a similar kind of year. So we also are doing separate self-contained groupings of children. Spaces that get used by multiple groups, like the bathrooms, outdoor spaces, the playroom, they get cleaned in between each group using them. So we do have, some extra staff people to help out with that. We have children have individualized equipment as much as possible. Teachers are doing a lot of increased cleaning and sanitizing. We're really focusing on children's hands being clean. And so we're using hand sanitizer. One of the nice things, the kids have been great about wearing their masks. I mean, it really has been such a non-issue. We were all kind of floored at the beginning of the year to notice that, but we have definitely been noticing that the kids have been so healthy this year. It's been very eye-opening, and maybe we'll get to a point where everyone just during flu season wears a mask anyways, now that it's become so commonplace and easy. So we are, making sure when kids have their mask off, when they're eating snack, that kids, once their mask goes back on, that their hands are sanitized. Or typically we try to wash as much as possible. So we have these outdoor hand washing stations. When kids are eating snack, they're spaced at least 6 feet apart. And in the classroom, sometimes that means doing it as a rotation. And so kids eat as part of their choice time. So you'll have 2 kids eat at a time, and then, they kind of rotate in. Outdoors, we have hula hoops that we use to define their space. Okay, that's it.
Tina, I did have a couple questions that were coming in. I was starting to answer.
Great.
One of the questions, and I did answer a really quick, short answer, but you can elaborate. It was, will parents be allowed in the building next year for drop off? And my short answer was, we're not sure if that's going to be possible next year, but if you want to elaborate on that.
We are not totally sure what that is going to look like this year. What we have done with drop off and pickup is a carpool line, and thus far people have loved it. It's been, I think, really easy for parents, particularly if you have a little one. You don't have to schlep a car seat out of your car. The kids have been amazing with it. I anticipate, like in the 2s and the 3s class, and this, what we did this year is the first week, I believe we had parents park their cars, come out of the car, and did we have them meet us in the playscape? It feels like so long ago now, September. But we're not totally sure. We may, I know that's not a great answer, but I'm not positive if families are going to be in the building or not.
We're not sure yet. Oh, am I muted? Oh, no, I'm not. Sorry. That was like a Saturday Night Live minute for a second. Am I muted?
I feel like this whole thing has been like that.
So another question is, hold on. There was a question about, I think I just accidentally deleted it. How to keep the 2s keep their masks on during the school day. I think that was the question. I'm sorry. Yeah, like how are the 2s with their wearing a mask during school day?
The 2s actually surprisingly have been amazing at it. I mean, I know that most of you who are enrolling for the 2s, your child might not even be 2 yet, and so they probably have not even worn a mask since it's not advised. But we have been really surprised with how great that they have been. I think that there are a lot of different styles of mask. I know most families, including myself, have gone through like 5 different types trying to find one that was okay for your child. I feel like it's something about being in a peer group where everybody's doing the same thing. It like just kind of became a non-issue for kids. But I mean, we are totally prepared if that's, if we have children who have a hard time, teachers will help to kind of put masks on again. And we'll kind of work with it individually with individuals. Yeah, Gina.
I can add to that, and it also ties into how does drop off go. You know, in the fall, it is amazing how after our intake conferences, which are all together, family and children and teacher, um, it is amazing. We did drop off right away, and there were a few parents and children who wanted their parents to come to the playscape and stay a little bit longer, but most of them got right out of the car and came and got right on the sidewalk and did whatever the whole class was doing. It's kind of like it's just like a different kid. I know you'll see it's like a different kid. Like, what? How is my child just walking up to the school and having a great time? Somehow it happens. It's part of the psychology of being in a group. And the same thing is with the masks. On intake conferences, we had parents who said he or she will not wear a mask. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. And the next day they're wearing a mask because everyone at school was wearing a mask. And it just happens kind of naturally. And it's quite amazing, and it's fun for us all to see. And we take pictures and send them home to you.
We also, we found, I mean, not even, the 2-year-olds, but we had a couple parents at our intake conferences, Maura and I did, that the parents said, they haven't had to wear a mask this whole time because we haven't been anywhere. How do you think that's going to go? And it's so interesting. They, put them on, they know what to do. We've gone through this, since September. And it's funny now, if like a mask falls below the nose, the kids are like, your nose, lift up your mask. So it's, they really are adaptable and so great about it. And it's kind of, they go with it. So it's really kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I think there's also, kids can be very different in different situations. I think they can be different at school than they are at home. That's typically what we have noticed about most kids. I mean, the same as how we all are when we're at work and when we're at home, right? So, you don't have to feel really confident that your child is going to keep a mask on in order to register for next year. And we will just we'll work with it. And, one of the nice things about having so much outdoor space is that we can start the school year almost exclusively outside where we know that it's safer, and help work on all the masking stuff. So.
Okay. I have another question.
Hey.
Like Vanna, for children with food allergies, like nuts, are there any precautions taken to prevent them from crossing snacks with other children?
Yeah, we are a peanut-free school, so we do provide snack for the school, and they're all peanut-free products. For children who have other allergies, all of that stuff will get shared during the intake conferences, and then we may have families bring in, so if your child has a gluten allergy or something like that, we may just have you bring in some snacks that we can keep on hand for your child. So our snack tends to be a grain, so some kind of cracker or a goldfish or something like that, and then a fruit or a vegetable. It's typically a fresh fruit with it. Hopefully that answered the question.
Let me know if it didn't, and we will continue on. Another question, if we have registered our child, are they secured a spot or is there a lottery to fill slots?
So there is a lottery starting on February 15th. Typically, we have not had trouble getting families in if they have submitted their registration prior to that date. So that's generally my advice to families. If on that date there are more applications for the different classes than I have spots, then it would be on a lottery basis, and I will let you guys know that week whether we have space or not.
Let's see, do we have any other questions? Allison Lieber, who is our board president this year, pointed out, which is a good point.
Wave your hand.
Oh, there she is down there. That when we are exclusively outside as well, and we have snack, or if a child needs a break from their mask, They all have their individual hula hoops, and so they can go take their take their mask off, get a drink of water. So if they need a breather, I mean, it's hard sometimes when you're outside, for that long, or even inside. We separate out. Like if you need a minute, you can take it off and take a drink from your water bottle and put it back on. So
Yeah.
that's an option too. And we all need a little bit of time away from our masks.
Snack time is, everyone is absolutely 5 or 6 feet apart, and they have their mask off. They drink their water. They bring their own water bottle and drink water and have their snack, and they're absolutely at the appropriate distance for snack time.
And they're all really great about not getting up and walking around until they're all done, and then they put their mask on and they go and wash their hands right away. So they pick up these routines pretty quickly. All right, any other questions?
I don't
No,
have
we're
any
only
on my
3
end,
minutes
but
over.
feel free to raise your hand. I don't have any on my end, but if anybody has any questions.
No? All right. All right, well, thank you all so much for coming. It's nice to put faces to names, and hopefully we will see all of you or most of you in person at some later point. Wait, did another question just come in? Or is everybody just saying?
We have lots of thank yous. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that's it.
That is it. I think that's it.
All right.
Great to see everybody. Thank you. Have a great night.